Let us not give God 50%. For God will also respond to us in a 50% manner. When you go to an exam, why do you put in 100% and then but when you come to God you give 50%? The Bible then says that, and he bowed himself down. From putting yourself up here, you'll find yourself back here. Greetings and welcome back to the channel, guys. Welcome back. Now, if you're new to the channel and you're a new viewer to the channel, make sure that you subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you do not miss when a new video pops up, right? Now, keep in mind, guys, that you are now available on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Amazon Music, as well as on Overcast, and you can be sure to find us on those 6 different platforms, right? Now you can also find us as well on TikTok at sinner_saved_by_grace, and you can be sure to follow us there as well, guys, where we then share the short messages that can help you get through the day. Now, to my podcasters, guys, you can also now find us on YouTube at Ashley Gerera, and you can be sure to follow us as well on that platform. Now, today, guys, we are going to be talking about the number one rule for a leader, right? The number one rule for a leader, right? And that is what we are going to be talking about today. Now, to find out more, do you want to be a leader or do you want to be a follower? Now, if you want to find out how you can then get the number one rule for being a leader, right? Stick in and tune in to find out more. Now, today, guys, we are going to be reading from the book of Kings, right? We are going to be reading from the book of Kings, the book of leaders. Just look at the name, Kings, right? Kings. It means that these are like it's a book of leadership, right? And this is what we are going to be talking about today, or rather, where we're going to be getting our context from. Now, rule number one of being a leader, we find it even in the first chapter of the book of Kings. Now, if you look back at the previous episodes, we're in the book of Samuel, right? But now we are in the book of Kings. And in the book of Kings, it tells you that to be a leader, rule number one, let us read First Kings chapter 1 verse 5 and see what does the Bible say for us. Now, First Kings chapter 1 verse 5 reads as follows. Then Adonijah the son of Haggith exalted himself, saying, I will be king. And he prepared him chariots and horsemen, and 50 men to run before him. Now, as we've just read, guys, in verse 5, it says that already we have a problem here. We have a problem in verse 5. Because this guy, remember we talked about this, guys, in the previous episodes, and we say that you should not exalt yourself and that you should not be having pride and lifting yourself up, right? And we said that you shouldn't be doing that, right? So now when you come to First Kings chapter 1 verse 5, already this guy in the book of leaders, he wants to be a leader, but already he's exalted himself, right? So that is what we are getting here from verse 5. And the Bible says that, and he exalted himself. Now, if you haven't watched that episode where we talked about the 5 dangerous things about pride, right? I'll leave the link right here so that you can be able to go and watch it. But here, when you come back to verse 5, it says that, and the son of Haggith, and the son of Haggith, right? He exalted himself. Already we have a problem, guys. Remember, for you to be a leader, you're going to be in a position of power. So how then do you exalt yourself? How do you exalt yourself? Why is it now that you're taking on praise for yourself and you say, you know what? I am going to exalt myself. But you want to be a leader. That does not work, guys. We established that God does not like people who are proud and people who exalt themselves. For he says that his eyes are upon them so that he can bring you down, right? So now, what then can we get from this? So the rule number one from what we've just read, right? Rule number 1 says that you shall not have pride. You shall not have pride, guys. If you want to be a leader, if you want to be in a person of high places and all of that, you shall not have pride. And this is what the Bible has clearly told us here. It says that this guy exalted himself, right? So then what was the end result of this, right? what was the end result of this? But before we go to the end result of this, what does God say about all of this, or rather about a person that exalts himself? And if you take our Bibles to the book of Psalms chapter 101 verse 5, it says that, "Whoso privily slandereth his neighbor, him will I cut off. Him that hath an high look and a proud heart will not I suffer." In other words, guys, the Bible is telling us, or rather God himself is telling us, that he will get rid of those that whisper evil things about other people, right? And also he says that he will not tolerate those that do not tolerate anyone who is proud and arrogant, right? So for you to be in a position of leadership, you don't have to be, you don't have to look at yourself as if you are better than other people. You don't have to look at yourself that you have to slander other people, to get to the top. Then you say, you know what, I have to speak down on that other person, speak down on that other one, speak down on that other one, so that they might see me as the better fit for this whatever discipline you might be involved in, right? You don't have to do that, right? This is what the Bible says. And God says that he hates people who do that, right? And he says that he also does not even tolerate anyone who has a proud heart and who is arrogant. So this is what we're getting as well in the book. Now back to this guy, guys. Back to this guy in the book of First Kings chapter 1. First Kings chapter 1. Back to him. What then happens? What was his end to all this thing of him exalting himself? Remember, there was, now, just to give a brief summary, there was a point when now David had to anoint a king, right? And this guy decided to, instead of waiting for the time, he decided to exalt himself and not humble himself. So then what was the end result of all of this? And we can find the end results in 1 Kings chapter 1, verse 53, which then says that, "So King Solomon sent, and they brought him down from the altar. And he came and bowed himself to King Solomon. And Solomon said unto him, Go to thine house." Now, guys, as we've just read, it says that in the end, remember in the first part, he exalted himself and he put himself somewhere here up above. He put himself high and he said, I'm here, and the rest can follow, right? But in the end of the chapter, the Bible then says that, and he bowed himself down. From putting yourself up here, you'll find yourself back here. Right? And this is what we are getting from the Bible. So let us not exalt ourselves. We don't want to be like this guy, the son of Haggith, right? Who exalted himself and took the things that were not even meant for him. And, took himself up there and said he is the king. But then in the end, it resulted in him being brought down here, right? From exalting himself, he ended up bowing down to the actual king that had been chosen. So guys, as we go on about our lives, let us remember, guys, that let us not exalt ourselves. Whatever discipline that you are involved in, do not exalt yourself over other people. Treat everyone as an equal, right? Treat everyone as an equal. And there's something that Billy Graham that he said that I love, right? And he said that if you try to tell how great you are and leave God out, right? Or if you act as though you can solve your own problems and arrange your own life without the help of God, God says, I'm going to bring you down. And this is a quotation by Billy Graham. He says that if you try to tell everyone how great you are and you try to arrange your own life without the help of God, God says he will bring you down, right? So what is it that you're doing in today? What discipline are you involved in? Remember, guys, do not exalt yourself, for it is only God that then exalts you. Even if we take our Bibles to the book of 2 Samuel chapter 22 verse 28, the Bible then tells us that, and the afflicted God will save, right? And then it also says that, but his eyes are upon the haughty, that he may bring them down. God's eyes upon the haughty, those that have pride, those that lift themselves up and exalt themselves up. God is looking at you and he says, your day is coming, my friend. So as we go on about our lives, guys, that is the message for today. Number one rule for leadership: do not have pride. Treat everyone the same way you would want to be treated as well. Whether you are in a high position at the current moment or you're in a low position, treat everyone the same, right? Do not mistreat other people. for you do not know what tomorrow holds, right? So as we go on about our lives, and I'll leave the link to that episode where we talked about the dangerous things, 5 dangerous things about pride and what they lead to. I'll leave the link at the end of the video. But in the moment, guys, let us keep in mind and let us remember that let us not exalt ourselves, for it is only God that can exalt you, and He is the one that will lift you up, right? So with that said, may God bless you. But there's a quotation that I like from Billy Graham, and he says that be aware, there are certain things that have not changed in all these centuries, right? And he also goes further to say that the first thing that has never changed in all these centuries, he says that the nature of